This is the third time. First time was 99, 2000, then 2010, and then now. I'm not going to explain to you why, because you're too fucking stupid to know why. And for the YouTubers, I don't really give a shit if they learn anything. But people only come to me for one or two reasons. And I've only met two of you. I think, at least I can see the tall, bald guy now. And I mean, Jesus Christ, you know. And he's Dutch. Are you Dutch? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, fuck. Anyway, desperation or inspiration. That's the only reason you cocksuckers come to me. You're all desperate. I am the last chance hotel. I am the last chance. You've tried every other fucking thing known to man. And I'm it. You either make it with me or you fucking should. I don't say that anymore because somebody does it and then I get sued. Guys and gal, this is probably the only time I'm going to remember it as a gal. So when I say guys, I mean everybody. Guys, you have tried everything. He's back here for a third time for a reason, which he can explain to you if he wants. As I said in the October seminar, when Donald Trump got elected, oh, God knows, it was the beginning of the transformation, the greatest transformation of wealth in your fucking miserable life. I never thought I'd live long enough to see it again. I started crying just thinking about it. I said it again in December, at the December seminar. And I still get these fucking moronic emails from you stupid morons. What did you mean? The greatest transformation of wealth, Mr. Benya? How many engineers do we have in the group? Be honest. How many fucking engineers? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, fuck. 7. This group is maybe destined to failure. If I was early in my goddamn career, it would be destined to failure. Because engineers are the hardest cocksuckers for this to get through their brain. I've had people with 80 IQ to 180 IQ come through this group. And the 80 IQ made more money than the 180 IQ, and they're both on the Hall of Fame. God damn, 7 motherfucker. Oh, fuck. My work's going to be...
Blog Talk Radio.
I'm going to talk to you today on the subject, a technique that does the trick. Remind you also that I don't let my subject interfere with what I have to say. A bit of definition for a moment. Let's define the word technique. Technique, a method of accomplishing a desired aim. A method of accomplishing a practical purpose. Technique, the method of accomplishing a practical purpose. So today I'm going to talk about a method and methods of achieving and maintaining health, happiness, love, success, prosperity, and money. And of course, we're always talking about this because the science of living, as we call it, is a technology of living. And we're constantly giving you practical ways and means of accomplishing your good aims.
Participation in a process that validates an establishment that never meaningfully changes. What if that establishment doesn't want and doesn't have the consent of the governed? What if the two-party system was actually a mechanism used to limit so-called public opinion? What if there were more than two sides to every issue, but the two parties wanted to box you into a corner, one of their corners? What if there's no such thing as public opinion? because every thinking person has opinions that are uniquely his own? What if what we call public opinion was just a manufactured narrative that makes it easier to convince people that if their views are different, then there's something wrong with that, or there's something wrong with them? What if the whole purpose of the Democratic and Republican parties was not to expand voters' choices, but to limit them? What if the widely perceived differences between the two parties was just an illusion? What if the heart of the government policy remains the same no matter who's in the White House? What if the heart of government policy remains the same no matter what the people want? What if those vaunted differences between Democrat and Republican were actually just minor disagreements? What if both parties just want power and are willing to have young people fight meaningless wars in order to enhance that power? What if both parties continue to fight the war on drugs just to give bureaucrats and cops bigger budgets and more jobs? What if government policies didn't change when government leaders did? What if no matter who won an election, government stayed the same? What if government was really a revolving door for political hacks bent on exploiting the people once they're in charge? What if both parties supported welfare, war, debt, bailouts, and big government? What if the rhetoric that candidates displayed on the campaign trail was dumped after electoral victory? What if Barack Obama campaigned as an anti-war, pro-civil liberties candidate and then waged senseless wars while assaulting your rights that the Constitution is supposed to protect? What if George W. Bush campaigned on a platform of non-intervention and small government, and then waged a foreign policy of muscular military intervention and a domestic policy of vast government borrowing and growth? What if Bill Clinton declared that the era of big government was over, but actually just convinced Republicans like Newt Gingrich that they can get what they want out of big government too? What if the Republicans went along with it? What if Ronald Reagan spent 6 years running for president, promising to shrink the government, but then the government grew while he was in the White House?
You want to write down, how do I want, say if it's your finances, how do I want my money to look, my finances to look right now? And then you write that down and look at that every day. And you have to write it like it's already that way, like it's already taken care of. Like if you say you want millions, okay, I got millions. Right now I have so many millions of dollars. Oh, you're fantasizing. Yes, you are. You're fantasizing with an extra dose of belief that it's real. If you know that this is real, this is not wishful thinking. This will happen for you. What else you got to lose? Really? I tell you what you have to lose. You have to lose those negative thoughts. That's what you'll lose. When you do that, you'll lose the negative thoughts of not having, living in this constant state of poverty and lack, and thinking you can't do something, you can't have this, you can't have that. You'll lose that. That's what you want to lose, right? That's a good loss. Losing all the negative and I can't and this ain't working, all of that, letting all of that go, that's what you're losing. That's what you have to lose. For anything great to come into your life, you have to lose something. You have to let go of something. Some of you got to let go of some of these conversations you're having with people. Some of you have to let go of some of these relatives that you're trying to help and they're dragging you down. They don't have the same mindset. You really have to go into a place of solitude, almost. And that could be a tough thing to do for some of you because you have close ties with your family. I'm not saying cast them out. What I'm saying, you have to mentally say, okay, this person's not ready, but I got to keep moving and keep them at a distance and let them watch you prosper as you move on. Camera back on here. All right, this is the second episode of Monday Q&A. I left a number in the chat for you to call if you have questions. Call that number and I can get you live on the air. And the number is 515-605-9723. I should have created like an overlay so people could see it. I'll do that next time. I didn't think about that before, but I didn't know. They just I could have launched it. So I'm waiting. What's your questions? What is your questions? Give me 1 second. I need to see something here. Make sure everybody can hear me. All right. It's 9 people looking. I don't have anybody calling in. If you got a question, you could actually type it in the chat too. I can answer it by way of chat. Let me just check something. Make sure y'all can hear me clearly. And I'm coming through loud and clear. I know it's gonna take a minute to get this. I can answer it by way of chat. Oh, it's coming up. It's working. Well, while y'all deciding whether y'all want to ask me a question, now, you know what amazes me? Like, I get all of these questions in my downtime. People were calling me while I was on vacation after I said I was going to be on vacation. And now everybody's silent. Nobody got an answer or question right now. They haven't called the number 515-605. Well, if you just want to talk, Indie Circle, why don't you just join in and come help me out? If you just got something to say, let's do that. If you ain't got a question, just got something to say. I see somebody on there. Now, when you're when you call that number, you can raise your hand somehow. I forgot. I haven't done Blog Talk in a minute. It's a number you press and it'll let me know whether you want to chime in. I see a 716 number on there. See if you could hear me on this. Oh, 716-316. Can you hear me, brother?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Cool, cool. You loud and clear on the YouTube stream, just to let you know.
Okay. I see this echo now, so I'm trying to kill this echo.
Let me turn mine down.
What I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna open it up over here. And that's what I was afraid of, that echo.
You still got the echo on your side?
I only get the echo when I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you don't have that. I don't hear an echo on your side, like when I'm speaking to you.
Okay, let me go to my. I don't have engineers in here working on this thing, so.
Hey, no, me neither. I'm laptop on the table, baby.
All right, so I'm checking to see if I got.
Yeah, you don't have that. I don't hear an echo on your side, like when I'm speaking to you.
Okay, let me go to my. I don't have engineers in here working on these things, so. Yeah, I don't hear echo now, so. Yeah. All right, so let's get to it. What's your question?
Okay, well, first off, good to have you back. Glad you're safe and everything like that, Akiem.
Yeah. I'm glad to be back.
I'm gonna take it back old school. Something positive going on in my life first. Me and my wife just celebrated our 11th so-called year of walking life together. So
Wow, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's been some time. It's been beautiful though. I won't lie about that.
Yeah. So I got some questions about the marriage thing. If you but after you get out what you want to say, I do have some questions.
Okay, no worries. Um, well, obviously, this is Lacanapone. You're doing my church and my trust and all that. So I have that certificate from the California Secretary of State, and I was actually able to acquire my tax exempt ID number for Home Depot for the church just
Mm-hmm.
by simply filling out their form
Mm-hmm.
online and uploading that certificate. So that went through great. That's all they wanted. But
Yeah, so you got your tax exempts on them, right? So when you go there, everything's tax exempt.
yep, I
Okay.
got the number, everything downloaded to my phone and all of that.
Right.
However, BJ's and Walmart up here, they require some type of they said a tax exempt certificate either from my county or state level up here in Erie County, New York.
Okay, so
And
go to the
actually
state and
talking to the clerk.
yeah, go ahead. But no, let me. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Well, I spoke with my clerk downtown here, and they directed me to fill out an ST-119-2, which is the application for the so-called certificate, and
Mhm.
send it to the tax department in Albany. So, and I have it, but I didn't fill it out because I was a little unfamiliar with what boxes to check or not check.
Yes, if you don't mind, send. Yes, you do, because they most states, because they have to report to the Department of Revenue for their state, they need to have a record of why they gave you tax exempt status.
Okay,
So
okay.
on the state level, it's fine. It's just like if you want to register your car in your church's name or your temple, whatever you want to call it, you have to fill out the county's paperwork to get the tax exempt status.
Okay, understood.
And they usually do that, like most states, you do it at the beginning of the year. And it's good for that year, then you might have to redo it again. I don't know. Every state's different. And if you do fill it out late in the year, you have to give them a reason why. Um, I'm not sure if it's in. Are you in my premium membership?
Nope. It was just Laconico who did
Yeah.
the church and the trust setup with you.
Okay.
We
All
had
right.
talked about that. Maybe we can work something out with that because I
Okay.
need some of that.
Yeah. I know who you are. Yes, I know you are. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna start working on your stuff, completing it by tomorrow, so you can look it over. Um, I have in the membership. There's a recording with me talking to the county, asking them what I needed to register a car in my church. And they tell you, and she sent me the forms. I actually have sample forms, and I can pretty much know what your form says. That on the form somewhere it says what type of entity you are, and it'll say church or religious.
Yep.
It should say that.
Religious,
Right.
charitable,
Right.
that and the third.
You say religious, and boom. And if it says church, you definitely check that box off.
You know what? I was looking for that exact word, and it does not.
Okay, so it must be just religious. Okay. Yeah. So check that box. And that's it.
And it okay. And
Mhm.
so for the so it acts as for the title of the entity. Obviously, the entity we've discussed that is just my birth name in all caps and whatnot. And then since it's not or since it's not incorporated, it says in the directions I was reading, if it's an unincorporated association, to just write the date of organization,
That's it.
but somewhere down in like 2A or 4E, whatever it may be, it acts for like maybe like the documents that go with it. Like, do I really need to send them? Like, once you get
You
all
just send them the
church
certificate.
documents and all that
They
put together,
they may not. They're
send
not.
that to 'em as well.
You send the certificate, a copy of the certificate. You don't send them originals. You just send them a copy of that certificate.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Right. That's it. They may want to see bylaws, but I doubt it if they will.
So I should be good with just sending them, like you said, a copy of my California jump off and possibly the DBA that I have for my name, doing business as my name. That one's from actually New York State, as you
Yeah,
New York.
I don't think you need a DBA for that part.
Not even
No,
okay.
no. You don't need that for that.
Yeah, I had the form. I was looking through it like because I got everything established for Home Depot, and I was like, yo, let me get on BJ's or Walmart because we shop there avidly. You know what I mean? I'm like, and they're like, oh, you need this certificate. So I immediately called the clerk and spoke with them. They said to fill this out, submit it, like I said. But okay, I
Now,
took some notes of what you wrote.
I'm glad you brought up the church, the DBA thing. Like I was teaching, I don't endorse doing DBAs like Akiem Barber doing business as Akiem Barber. But I
Right.
do endorse straw man doing business as whatever the name is, church. And
So
that's a new teaching that I haven't even taught my members yet. To take the straw man and let it do business as a religious entity or a church,
you
temple, simple.
saying that's like the all caps
So if my
doing
people, just for the sake of being broad so everybody can understand, like my name of my church is Akiem Barber Church, right? So I would say straw man doing business as Akiem Barber's church, meaning Akiem Barber, all caps, doing business as Akiem Barber Church, right? So, but some people don't use their name as a church. They'll have Church of Limitless Possibilities of
right.
their name, Akiem Barber doing business as Church of Limitless Possibilities, you know, or if it's a temple,
Right.
just to clear that up for everybody that's listening. Why do I do that? Because now you take the straw man and it make it attach it to something religious, which puts you in the realm of being protected under religious protections. And another reason why I say that, because guess what? The average years ago when churches were, that's what the pastor did business as, his church. So every activity he did was considered protected under his religious freedoms.
Just because of that connection.
Just
Yeah.
because of connection.
Smart of them.
Right.
They knew what they were doing, obviously.
Right. Now, of course, you're not going to be using those socials that they give attached to the straw man. You're not going to do that. But you just want that all caps name to be, the church is an entity. The members is what give the church life.
Right.
So you just want to be in an entity that's protected.
Or how about this for a scenario? So that certificate that I gave or that I submitted to California, it is like just first, middle, last. And I didn't put church when I submitted the for the certificate, and when I went and got the IRS thing, it just was my first, middle, last. I didn't put church like on the back end of it. Should I have?
No, you don't have to, because all you're doing is you're establishing it as a church. So
Okay.
you don't have to.
Just thought that was clear.
I do it just to make it clear, but you don't have to. It could just be the name. It's an unincorporated association. All churches are supposed to be unincorporated into the government. Now, you do have incorporated churches. Like one of them is like the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses is not really the main organization of well, you know them as Jehovah's Witnesses, but the people that control Jehovah's Witnesses group is the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, Inc.
I think you said that in one of your old joints. I've been looking at the old videos from like 4 and 3 years ago. Just
that's a religious corporation
going through it.
that is governed by and controlled by the government at the same time, because they have to keep annual reports on money they're taking in and how they're using the money. So they're basically got to answer to the government for the things that they do.
Right, versus how we got it set up. There is no filing.
Right, there's no filing requirements or anything with us.
Right.
Because we didn't apply for 501c3 status.
Right. Or that
now
certificate that you get from the
now that I'm on that, I have to say this. A church is still a 501c3. A temple Maz. It's just it's no, it's not a 501c3. It's treated as one.
Right.
But because it didn't apply for that process, it doesn't have the rules and regulations that apply to it. See, what most people say is you need to set up a 508. No. A 508 just describes what entities are exempt from being treated as from being required to file anything.
As like the 501.
That's all the 508 law statute does is say that these specific entities are not required to a file. They are called mandatory accepted from it, but they will be treated the same way as a 501c3, excluding filing requirements.
Unless you file yourself for that certificate.
Once you file that, you're under their control.
Right.
So you get an EIN, check off church. Your exemption starts the minute you check off the church and they give you the number. You're exempt right there. There's nothing more to do. That's it.
Right. Yeah. My proof in the pudding from Home Depot. Boom. I used that EIN, filled out my stuff. Boop boop boop, and here you go. Here's your joint. You can use this.
Because
now come in today and spend some money.
Now once the EIN comes in, it already puts you that E right next to the CP575 saying that that's exempt. But then people go in and fill out that stuff and bring themselves right back to the government.
Yep, I caught that jewel from one of your joints. Like
right
before I got it, you're like, oh, CP575, and then you were showing somebody's and or yours, and it had the E, and you emphasized, look at the E right after the 5. You know, and you're like, this is how you know you got the right one.
Right.
And I'm like, boom, I got that.
There's only one way to get it is to go in and check off that church. You can get it with the other ones too, but the other ones is going to be looking for you to file that exemption paperwork. But the church is the only one that doesn't look for that. So
that's what I did. Search and boom. You know, you got it because I sent you copies of all that anyway. But what did you want me to ask me about?
Well, you had said you have been married for 11 years, so I have some questions for you about that because that's an accomplishment, especially these days. The average marriage don't last more than 3 years.
You're right.
If it get that far, if you get to 3 years, you did good. But do you understand the significance of the number 3? To be a master mason, you have to be a 3rd degree. When the judge swings the gavel, he swings it 3 times, right?
Yep.
But most marriages don't last that 3 years because 3 years is when you are considered you have mastered it, the process of that journey.
Huh.
And that's why most marriages don't last because it's at the 2 to 3 year mark is when you're going to have the most difficulties in any marriage.
You're still trying to learn each other.
Right.
You haven't before.
Right. You're going to have the most hell that you will get right there in that mark. And that's the point where you have to choose whether I'm going to learn how to work through this or I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
And most people that don't make it past that 3rd year get into other marriage and those marriages don't work either for the most part.
I mean, it's just compromise. You know what I mean? It really is. And working together, you know,
right.
It's a team. Like when you say family, like it's team effort. You could put it in as team. Like, you know, it's about the man next to you. So if she's walking by me or walking with me, we've got to somehow where she lacks, I got to pick up, and where I lack, she's got to pick up, and we got to be willing and wanting to do that for our relationship, ourselves, and just each other in general. If you are really going to make it through it, I mean, it's not to say I'm not hiding behind a bush and saying it's all sunshine and rainbows because that's a blatant lie. We all know that. Come on, man. That's just
it's never. It's not, right? It's days where you really don't want to talk to her or deal with her, right? And same for her, vice versa. Um,
Yep.
so it's a I'm not even gonna say, I'm just gonna say what has gotten you through to make it to 11 years.
Well, to tell you the truth, I mean, I think what keeps us both intrigued in each other and what's kept us is like like we're two different personalities, right? And we're on kind of like we're on our own path, obviously, and then we have a path together. But like our ideas are quite different, and I think the way she thinks about things, or however she would interpret certain things, intrigues me because I'm like, what? So I want to know, and I think, I mean, I can't say because I'm not in her head, but I'm thinking like how I how I interpret things and how I would kind of look at things and have a little bit more of an, oh, I shouldn't say that, but I have an open mind about many different things. There's like my way, your way, his way, and whatever the right way is. But and I think that intrigues her to me because you know what I mean. I have ideas and thought processes that you would never even think of, and she's like a real people person. Like let's stop and help everybody. Like let's save the world. And I'm a little bit more refrain from that, but not saying I'm not going to. But that
Right.
intrigues me about her. Like hey, and I think it's the same. The opposite intrigues her about me. I think that's what may have kept us together, just in our personal situation.
Wow, that's cool. So what I
The
learned,
interest of
go ahead.
differences.
Okay.
It's
So
generally the interest of how we both see things differently. You know what I mean? I think that's what has kept us both together because we're
so
so interesting to each other.
I got it. So what you're saying is, just so I can be clear, is she thinks differently and you know that. You're okay with that.
Absolutely.
And you respect that she thinks differently and you really want to know more and interested in how she thinks. That's really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, because just because I don't share the same view or wouldn't do the exact same thing in whatever situation is going on and wouldn't deal with the way that she would, I'm intrigued as to why she would, and and at the same time, I'm okay with that. I'm going to support you, whether I agree with it or not, or whether I think is right or wrong. That's not
Oh,
the issue. I'm here to support you because I'm like, well, why? But
wow. That's very powerful. I mean, what you just said, because if you're showing an interest in how she thinks and you have to actively listen once without passing judgment on what's being said. Um,
mm-hmm.
and you got to be, wow, I really want to see how that turns out and be interested. You just dropped a golden nugget there. That's really gold. Because I think that's the root of most arguments in any relationship, because you have two different personalities trying to work together, and you're gonna have a different way of thinking and how you want to do things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the challenge comes in one or both will try to, hey, you need to think like me. And no, this is the way it's supposed to be. And I've been guilty of that a lot. And I
I'm
really
sure
had to
as
pull
well.
back. Right. I really had to pull back and like realize, well, if I wanted another me, I'd just duplicate myself, which I can't. But and I probably wouldn't be
I
able to
know.
live with myself if I did. So uh yeah, that's really the way you put that, the way you explained that, it really, opened my eyes, and I hope it opened other people's eyes. Be intrigued by your
Yeah,
partner's differences of opinion.
yeah, you can't dismiss that. You really can't.
And that's what
If you're
happens.
really gonna make it.
Right. Yeah, right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the crux of many failures in a relationship, not respecting the differences, you
I mean,
know.
'cause you don't really know. Like, so you met this person. whenever, whatever, but it was still at a point in time, like, there was a life before that they had. And if you really don't and haven't dug in deep into, and haven't had all the deep conversations, you don't really know what they came from, or, you know what I mean? Because you don't know,
Right.
you know what I mean? Maybe they've been put in a position before and seen what's going on right now and the thing that you both are seeing differently on, but
Right.
you don't know her background on that, or you don't know their background on that and what they may have seen uh in that I don't know how to say this in that situation. That's what I mean. You don't know what they've seen unless you really talk to them thoroughly. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it takes time for all that because
Yeah, you gotta take time for you to know that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It takes time. Um,
it,
I got a
mm-hmm.
there's another couple that I thought I saw Sean on here. Yeah, he's on Cheltenham. Yeah, he's married too. I want to hear his perspective. And they actually got a show called The Hams. Sean Cheltenham. He's in the chat. Um,
I see them.
yeah. And just to let everybody know, if y'all want to call and chime in just like this brother is doing, you can call 515-605-9723. 515-605-9723. Next time I'm gonna have a banner going up so
All
people
right,
can see that.
highlighted it
Right. I'm doing this and I'm just remembering all the things I need to do. Um,
down.
so you had anything else you wanted to
Posters
share
everywhere.
before I move on to the next caller?
Yeah, no, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I was just looking for some advisement on that form or whatnot. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But
But still send it to me so I can see what it says, so I can have firsthand
sure.
looking at it. All right.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. Appreciate you,
I
man.
appreciate
Thank you.
your time. I'm glad you're back and thank you. And I'm gonna kick back and listen for the rest of the show.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you. Yep. Peace.
Um, I want to say this is feeling like the old show, but I don't want the old show. I want the new show. This is the new show. My camera's trying to go out on me. Oh, Indy Circuit been married for 10 years. Get on there, brother. Get on there. Get on there. So I'm gonna get 914 and then I'm gonna get 803-288 next. Um 914-837. I think that's the number. Yeah. 914-837.
Yeah, that's me,
Hey, what's going on? Who's this?
Lewis.
Oh, Lewis. What's going on, Lewis? You're a long time married man too, aren't you?
35 years.
Oh, whoa. So let's get your question first before we start getting into your business about your marriage. Let's do that.
I was just listening on there, seeing what your new thing is about.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you didn't have your hand up. I forgot what the button is to show that you got something to say. It's like a thumb, something one or two or something like that. It gives you instructions when you call in.
I didn't even know how to operate it.
Yeah, what's the name just did it? The other guy. All right, all right. But can I ask you something about your question since it's 35 years? I'm gonna ask you the same thing I asked the other brother. Is it okay? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Uh, what has kept you married for 35 years?
From my perspective, from day one, I wanted to be there.
Well,
So
okay.
it was important for me. It was important for me to work out whatever it took to make sure I could be there. So you got to be, when two people consummate marriage, sometimes the hard part about it is neither person really knows themselves. They don't even know what they're committing to.
Right.
You know?
Okay. All right.
So me, I didn't know all the answers, but I know I wanted to be there. And
Okay.
at a young age, I just knew I needed a partner and somebody to help keep me focused. I was focused, but I want somebody who was right there with me. So you're not living like two different lives. You're living a life that you're trying to maintain, shooting for your goals and aspirations and everything else, and then you over here trying to maintain a marriage.
Right.
It needs to be interlocked, you know.
Wow.
And I guess my wife she's a few years older than me, so I guess I got a person who's matched my maturity level. And we were both just down to earth, and we became friends. We really became friends because I, just on face value, I didn't feel like it was an attraction when we first met, but we just got cool as friends, and everything else developed. And maybe it's just a blessing. Can't say more than that. Other than I was willing to do whatever it took to keep it going. And fortunately for me, I didn't have to do but so much work because it was just something natural.
Okay. What was it? Why did you choose her to be that one that you say you wanted to do that with?
Like, it was ironic for me. She was older. She had a child. I
Oh,
was young, and I was like, I'm not getting a ready-made family, this and that, and all that other stuff that I thought I wanted.
mhm,
And then the relationship was just so organic
mhm.
that I'm like, why would I blow this over some minor, or not even minor, but some fallacy that I thought was supposed to be my criteria,
Right.
you know? And the relationship just developed. The next thing you know, when we got married, we never changed our status because we were married. Some people have an arrangement or understanding prior to marriage, and then when they get married, they put all these rules and they start changing,
Right. Oh,
and who is who and what is the relationship. We
right.
still maintain the relationship.
Okay, so I stayed consistent with what you had started into the
Yeah.
marriage. Okay.
And the marriage was just a consummation. And as marriages in this country, it's more of a contract and so forth. And we didn't look at it no further than that, except that we knew we were legally binded at that time. But prior to that, that status of marriage, we were still the same two people who was really feeling each other and going through life trials and tribulations together,
Right.
learning from each step. She was learning, I was learning.
At any point,
We grew together.
cool. Now, at any point during your marriage, was there a time period where it was really challenging to stay together?
I don't know if it was a challenge to staying together. There was challenges.
Okay.
I don't know if there was a challenge to staying together. You know,
Okay.
there's always going to be challenges. You know, because you have to learn to compromise without compromising yourself.
Right.
You know, and that means, if the person, well, what I've been blessed with, and I've seen, sometimes we use the word friend loosely. So a lot of times we dealing with associates, and we just say my friend, it's associates. And
Right.
we have to understand what that association is.
Right.
As us being friends, I really wanted her happiness, and she really wanted my happiness.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that's what made us get over whatever their frictions were, because it was more important to see a happy friend than to stress something that might not be as important as we thought it was.
So that you mentioned that you want to see each other happy. So that means that you had a special interest in her happiness and she had a special interest in yours and was willing to compromise to make that happen.
Yes, because we were truly friends, and I think that's what really helped it out. We were friends, so like
Hmm.
you might be around an associate, not even talking about a relationship with man and wife, or even boyfriend girlfriend. Might be your homeboy or whatever you friend. You know, something good happens for that person. You're truly happy for them. You know,
Right.
some
Right.
people be on the outside looking in like, they ain't shit, or what, something.
Right. Right.
But when
Okay.
that's your friend, you really happy for that person. Even if that
Right.
person is achieving at the moment that you're not, you're happy for them because that's your friend. You
Right.
know, and I think that's what helped us.
I think that's a see you. Yeah.
We was willing to make each other happy.
Wow. So you dropped another golden nugget just like the other brothers. So it was being friends. And if you are a true friend, you want your husband, wife to be happy,
Yep.
in the best way possible. Okay. And I
And
think that's important because I don't
as
think
you just
people
said,
go ahead. Sorry.
To add to what you just said, because I didn't think about it from that capacity, I got enjoyment
From
my
her
happiness.
being happy.
You know, that was pleasing to me. When I could, you know, do something that I know really made her happy, I got enjoyment. And then I would look, not to say that's all I live for, but I would look for other things that I can do to make her happy.
Okay.
You know, so, and I think she was doing the same with me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's 35 years, and the other guy was 11 years. And
Mm-hmm.
that the insights you gave is powerful. Because when you put it, hey, you got to make sure that they're seated to their happiness and stuff. And I think that's another thing that gets lost. We're just you get in a relationship, you're just going along. And sometimes, I think a lot of times, we just looking for our own happiness. Like, are you making me happy instead of you doing your part to make your partner happy? And that's really,
I would agree with.
yeah, go
I would
ahead.
agree with that big time. But you know what you just saying. You're keying another thought for me. When you saying pay attention to the other person's happiness, or some people might say what they're looking for, what that person is going to do to make me happy. A lot of times, that individual has not sought happiness in their own self. So you look
Right.
for somebody to make you happy.
Right. And that's
You
why
got to be happy within yourself.
right.
That's what's going to help the relationship. Period.
Right. I mean, that's why people, like you said, I'm going to just emphasize the reason why anybody is looking for someone to make them happy is because they can't find their own happiness.
There you go.
Because if you already happy within yourself, you don't need anybody to make you happy. Now, you want to share that happiness with the other person and see them happy.
There you
Because,
go. There you go. So
yeah,
I guess I was able to look forward to making her happy, so it was going to enhance my happiness, not find my happiness, enhance my happiness.
great. That's good. Um, and to add to what you say, when you think about life, that's what it is. You have to give something to get something. I'm gonna repeat it. You have to give some. You cannot breathe in without breathing out.
Mm-hmm.
So when I breathe out, what do? I give something that the trees need to survive. And the trees give out something for me to survive.
That you survive.
So basically what you said, that happiness could be considered the breath of the relationship. Because no one wants to be in any place that they're not happy. If you're not happy in some place, you're looking to get away from that.
You're
Right?
looking to get away, and
Right.
that's where the mischief and everything else comes into the relationship.
Right.
Everybody's trying to find something. So
Right.
that's what I said in the beginning. How can you commit to something when you don't even know yourself?
Right. So you got to be looking.
What are you committing?
Right.
What are you dedicating to the relationship if you don't even know what you are and what you want?
Right.
And then you expect this person or that person is expecting you to fulfill something when you don't even really know what you want or you even know how you work.
Right. That's
So if
powerful.
you understand, if you got a halfway understanding of yourself, you are gonna naturally attract what is conducive to you. See, I used to tell some young cats, they'd be like, yo, I mean, once this guy was real ignorant, you know, sometimes ignorant is just what it is, naivety. I gotta get my jewels together, I gotta get my look together, you know, I'm gonna get these. I said, what are you talking about? If you can't really if the jewels and all that stuff is not naturally who you are, you're gonna attract a person who's attracted to what you're portraying. Then
Right.
you're gonna be in the middle of a relationship wondering what hell happened. Be you. The person that sees your natural energy is gonna like that natural energy they see. So by the time y'all hook up, it's probably gonna be closer to organic as opposed to not.
Mm,
So a
right.
person has to understand who they are. We all learning. It's a learning thing every day. But if you got a halfway good foundation of who you are, your turn ons and turn offs, then you don't have to be nobody else. Conduct yourself, and you're going to attract
Right.
somebody who likes that
That
energy
right.
that they feel.
Right. You're gonna attract that person authentically or organically, as you say, because you're being yourself. Because like most people put on masks. A lot of people are putting on masks and pretending to be something that they're not, or pretending that they like something that they really don't like. And then later on, after they're in a relationship, they reveal, I don't like that. And wait a minute, I didn't know. This is what I was doing the whole time. But
Yeah,
that's
it's hard.
yeah.
It's hard to keep the
Persona, yeah,
it's hard to keep the act on.
right,
It's gonna be a one day you're gonna want to just exhale and be you.
right,
And now this person sees the natural you and say, "Well, I ain't signed up for that,"
right, right,
you know.
right,
And that starts the demise right there.
right. Yeah, because they
I ain't
fell
gonna
in.
hold up your.
They
I ain't gonna
fell
hold up your
for.
too much.
They fell for the fake you, not the real you.
A lot of people like to put on a good impression, but sometimes they're putting on an impression that has nothing to do with themselves.
Right. Yeah.
We always say we got to put on that good impression. First impression burns an image in the person who's viewing and all that. Well,
Right.
give your true impression of who you are.
Right.
You know, but if you give a false impression, that's kind of indicative of you not really feeling secure on who you are. That you have to find some other image or likeness
Amen.
to portray.
Amen. Amen.
You
You
know,
gotta fake it. That means you don't know who you really are. You don't
you
like
know
you
who you are.
enough to
Yep.
put yourself out there as who you are. That's why I mean.
And
Mm-hmm.
that summary you just made just now is the same thing that leads up to a person not really being happy with themselves.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So how you gonna find happiness in a relationship when you're not happy with yourself? If you're not comfortable with yourself, you're not happy with yourself.
Right. Mm-mm-mm-mm. All right, Lewis, man, I really appreciate you sharing with me
No problem,
that
brother.
insight. Very powerful
All right.
insight. All right, man. Talk to you later. All right.
Listen, there's a text. There's a text that you got to check when you get a chance.
Okay.
All right, baby,
All right.
brother.
Okay. All right. I will check it. All right. He said I got a text. Maybe just did he text me? Oh, I see it. I got you. I'll follow up on that. All right. Before I get to 803-288, so we had two people on. One's spoke about being genuinely intrigued with how your partner thinks and respecting that. Basically, that's summarizing. And Lewis said you have to be happy with yourself. And if you're happy with yourself, you will share the happiness and want to see the same happiness or even more in your partner. Basically, is what I got summarizing that. So that's 35 years and 11 years. All right. This brother, 803-288. What's going on, bro? How long have you been married?
This 10 years.
10 years. So we got a 10-year, 10, 11, 35. So what do you want to say to that?
And those guys covered most of the things. The one thing I say that was unique about me and my wife is I seen her spirit person from the get go,
Okay.
and I was already at the point where we both have already in the point in our life we know what we didn't want and we knew what we wanted. So we entered our contract from the first day that we was going into it with the end game being legally married.
Okay.
Within the first year of us being together and adult things being done, I was telling her we had already made our contract and consummated our marriage already. So the rest of it was for the public. It was, my mom wasn't here at the time, so I did it more so for my grandmother and my sisters. I ain't never been married before, so we had the whole wedding thing. But the only two things that I asked was that she teach me how to love her and show me how to love her and not to be upset with me when I can give her all that I can give her when I don't measure up to what she's giving me to how to love her. So when I can give you 100%, accept my 100%, even if I'm falling short, and know that I'm trying. And I expect the same thing from the other end.
Okay.
And, so we've held into that since day one, and we knew that was a growing process. So we went into it committed, and we really haven't. To be honest, we never went to bed still mad at each other. We always
Right.
if anything, if it's something, especially if it's something as petty as hell, I want to be right versus she want to be right. We come to a quick resolution to that, and um, but if it's something else or whatever where it's too much for us to talk about now because our emotions are leading and we're not going to be able to talk irrational or logical right now. So we will go to bed at ease with it and deal with it another time when we are able to have a logical discussion. We won't. If we get each other voice raising at each other, we both stop there and decide to talk about it later, or if we can't go into not raising our voices. So we haven't really argued. We disagreed out of the 10 years.
Okay. So you made a deal or made a commitment or agreement that if you felt yourself getting too excited in the conversation where you had to yell and talk over each other, I'm adding that in.
Yeah. You
That
basically saying
right. Well, you know how I know that's happening because I go through that. So how do I know? Okay, talking over each other, we pull back. You mature enough to pull back and say we could do this another time, and be okay and say, hey, I'm not going to have any animosity towards you until we, while we're trying to resolve this, So
yeah. This won't be a reason for me to withhold my love and my affection from you, whether from thought, physical,
wow,
conversation, or whatever. I'm
what
not going to show you no other way, but I love you. And that's what she does too. And we'll deal with this shit later.
you
Because
see?
whatever it is, it ain't that serious.
Wow, you see? You just said, see, different brothers dropped three different key jewels. Despite that you're not agreeing, I'm just reiterate what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're upset about the disagreement, you guys still decided not to withhold love from each other. Let me just give you an example. Sometimes you might be upset and one person say, I ain't going to say I love you. I ain't going to show no affection. I'm going to show my attitude over being loving instead.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
goes a
So
long
we
way
do a
though.
lot too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm bad about doing is when we catch each other in that motion, we will embrace each other, hug each other, kiss, and tell we love each other.
Even in that.
And this is even though we're saying this is the first relationship I've been in. I've never been married, but the first relationship I've been in where it hasn't been toxic. And a toxic relationship that say you have more than one type of sex when you're involved in a toxic relationship. It's always love making with us. It's never been no angry sex, or it's never been, well, she's got to do this to satisfy me to make sure she's doing her wifely obligations. So
Right.
when we roll in that energy, it flows all the way around.
Okay. So despite being upset, you still continue to deliberately show love towards each other, even in your disagreements.
Yeah, because what we do is we set the disagreement aside and say there ain't nothing but love. So that's what we're gonna deal with. We'll deal with that other shit later because this ain't us.
So highlighting the love over the negative, highlighting the positive parts
Yeah.
over the negative. Okay.
Yeah. So when we do come together, that's why we still can be together as husband and wife and not defile our bedroom.
Right.
So it's still everything stays smooth, man. I mean, that don't mean that we don't have a bunch of shit that we might have to go pick up and sit down and talk about when I can actually, if it takes me from 3 months to 2 weeks to 2 minutes, but most of the time the spirit works on me like it works on her, and we come back and then the spirit be done brought the love into it. Like it didn't even matter what was right or wrong and or who was right or wrong, but this is the result we're after. This is what we're looking for. So this is what we got to deal with down about what route we're gonna take to get there. So that's where the argument came in or comes in at, you know, her way or my way, but we both want the same result. So hey, the spirit
Right.
told me that I was wrong with mine. My emotions were leading. I apologize, and I'm sorry I let my emotions get the best of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I continue to work on it and catch it whenever it does. Or if it's vice versa, she'll say, well, the spirit told me that this is what you really meant, what you were trying to say, even though you couldn't communicate it. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And she's like, nah, I understand you, and I'm sorry. That's cool, and I love you.
Right.
And then it's just more love on top of love. It's just
Right.
compound to love.
Okay. I like that. I like that because that's important because a lot of times I've been guilty of it. You know, you be upset. I ain't calling you. I ain't texting. I ain't doing nothing. You know. Oh,
Get the fuck out.
right. But we can't do that.
No,
You
no.
can't do that.
I'm about like my man. I can't hurt the one I love. How can I be the root of her pain if I truly
Wh-
love her? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's the same way with myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love me just as much as I love her. You know, not trying to be funny, but I love me a little bit more than I love her. But you know, it don't. That's just saying that I love myself. In order for me to love her, I had to love me first. So yeah,
Right. I found.
I don't put
Mhm.
myself above her.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Man. And all that takes is not being selfish. You know. Really.
Yeah, true,
Yeah.
true. And you know me and my wife, so you know our we have a lot of outward differences, but they never really clash with who we are and who what we want to be, or who we
Right.
are and who we're being. So that's the way I see it. It works great for me and mine that way.
Right. Yeah. Let me pause this here. I was trying to put the number up for people to call 515-605-9723. I like to take another caller before I shut it down. I'm getting like the old days, so I should do 2 or 3 hour shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could easily get that way too when good information is being put out.
Yeah, yeah. So I think this been pretty productive. Really, second show where I did the Q&A. I'll tweak everything for the next one next week. Still gonna have Truth Tuesdays every Tuesday. That's the iconic show for Hindsight Radio. Tuesday tomorrow, and I'll have the blog talk going there. And if somebody want to call in and on that, that's the number. That's the number. We don't just have to talk about clearing out debt, discharge, and all that stuff. We talk about like we were supposed to be talking about other stuff, and I got intrigued about these long-term marriages, and I wanted to know what's the sauce, what's the secret, and we got good information from that. All right, anything else you want to share, brother?
No sir, no sir. I enjoyed it, and I thank you.
All right, you're welcome, brother. All right. I thank you. I thank you. We hadn't talked in a minute, man. You gotta come down here and go fishing with me.
I
Oh,
definitely will.
I'm
I
up
definitely
here.
will. It's all a sport for me now. I don't eat meat no more, so I
Whoa.
definitely like to come up.
Hop-
The camaraderie and
yeah.
I enjoyed fishing with you though.
Yeah, I've been talking about not eating meat myself. I must have been on my spirit for a while now. I really gotta start doing it though. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what put me on it is whenever I'll say it's been about almost 6 months now being on the journey. Not saying
Mm,
that I ain't had my cheat days, but
right.
whenever I started to have my food already, I could buy my food prepared. Somebody could cook it for me, but
Mm,
it would still smell like I just butchered it myself in the yard. You know, my
right.
deer meat was smelling like raw processed deer meat, and it's already been cooked and seasoned. And I couldn't get past it. And I told my wife, well, something else going on. I know I said I might end up being like a vegetarian, but now I'm really not gonna be eating meat.
Oh
But I let
man.
my spirit continue to take me with it, and it cleared up my eczema. And
Wow.
quit letting my body produce all that extra mucus, that and
Yeah, maybe
that make
you
my
know
body
what?
create extra mucus.
Yeah, yeah. You just pushed me over the edge with that one. You just pushed me.
Yeah, and that did it. It's like I prefer not itching. And my stool is softer, believe it or not. It takes away the stink from your poop. So when I say my shit don't stink, it doesn't. My food is my shit runs straight through me. I have my 3 to 4 bowel movements a day. My vegetables don't sit right and spoil in my system, and
Mhm.
it doesn't come out of my pores. So I lose body odor.
Wow. Okay.
So those are benefits from that.
Right. I think anybody that's dealing with any serious health issue, they need to go at least vegan for a while to reset the body.
Yeah,
You know.
detox yourself.
Hmm. All right, brother.
You have to.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
input. All right, appreciate you. All right. 904-504. I'm not sure if you wanted to say something. Not sure. I think it's press 1 or 2 to talk to me. And your hand would go up. 904-504. I see you called in. Yes, okay. He got his hand up. 904. Yeah, hello. How you doing?
Hi, this is Cece.
CC.
How are you?
I'm not familiar with CC.
Yeah. No, this actually my very, very first time ever
Okay.
coming on here. And
All
also I
right.
was listening to your show. And I just wanted to, chime in and give a little sister energy, I guess. We've been hearing from the brothers and,
Yeah.
congratulations to all of them that had, years of marriage. My husband and I, we've been married for well, we've been together for 15 years, 10 years without the certificate or the license, and 5 years with the certificate of the license. And one when we started out, we um, we didn't like each other, and I think it was more because he had just got over a divorce. He just
Mm-hmm.
got out of a divorce, and we actually got together. You know, a little bit before he got out. Sorry, I had to say that, but it is what it is.
That's all right. Nobody judging you.
And
Good. That's
yeah,
fine. That's pretty much that's common these days. So
yeah,
that's not.
yeah.
But go ahead.
So yeah, so but the divorce was over, and the thing of it is I do not believe that he ever truly had a chance to rest or
Heal.
recover, and so he was back into a relationship. So therefore we were constantly back and forth at each other, because I think it was more so that he didn't like himself. He didn't like what he, just went through or had gone through or something like that. So it was more of no, 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 I mean, nothing could get us to kind of like each other. Then, later, I say about a couple of years later, we had a child. And again, it still didn't really change us to, get that, we want to be together. We have to be together type relationship. We just kept trying to make it work, with the arguing and everything. So, but it was until, like I said again, it's like 10 years later, and I gave him the ultimatum. I said, we're gonna have to do something. This is not healthy. We're not healthy. We just need to move on and do something. But he finally made the chance, you know, the change to say, okay, I'm gonna take this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And ever since then, for the last 5 years, it's just been like a merit of bliss. Like, wow. So it
Mm-hmm.
was more so of me having to give him time to understand himself. And I did. That was a roller coaster because I gave him time, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things is, yes, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to like yourself because I saw a lot of him being selfish. And through it all, I stayed the course. And now, after, like I said, after a total of 15 years, it's like it is you know, a joy, a sacrifice that I made to stay the course. And I'm glad. because right now it's like I cannot see us having a problem, you know.
Right.
I can't see us not being, I mean, in an argument where we never go to bed mad. Never, never. I mean, it's been times we have had differences, but as far as, you know, don't sweat the small stuff is what I've always said, and I still say it. So it's nothing been large enough for us to, you know, be that way. So, I just continue to, I think that I want to continue to keep it that way, keep us, if we do have like a little disagreement, it is nothing major enough that we can't say to each other, like, is this a deal breaker? Or does that mean we got to, be mad? And me, per se, I'm a playful type. I play. So he really don't have a chance to get mad because I'm just constantly playing with him. But
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's one of the things that's keeping us together. So if he was having issues from the beginning, I had to give him time to get over it, which it took a long time. A lot of us wouldn't stay that course.
Yeah, I mean, you said 10 years it took you to get to the place that you are. That's truly a lot of patience because most people are not going to do that for the most part.
Exactly.
It's 10 years of just arguing back and forth, bickering and stuff like that. Now,
Mm-hmm.
looking back, going back to where the arguments were at its worst, do you think there was something different you could have tried, or what's different now that you do that makes it, other than the ultimatum? Know you mentioned the ultimatum, hey, we got to do something
Mm-hmm.
about this.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think there was something you could have done differently back then that may have made it a little shorter?
Yes, like I said, I think what I should have done is give him time to process what he's going through because prior to our marriage, he was, our relationship, he was in a marriage for like almost 15, 20 years, you know.
Right.
So he's the one that, took himself out of the marriage, and he's the one that had the guilt, and he's the one that was. So what I probably should have done instead of, you know doing the things, adult things, and turning around later having a child, and all of that things, I think, if we would have, thought, per se, that, like, hey, or as I would have said, let me give him time to, grieve, per se, you know.
Really get over that, because that's 15 years. He's saying that he was in that, and
Right. And that's why it took us 10, because,
he,
he never had
he had a lot of
time.
residue. He had a lot of old
Right.
residue, and I'm sure if if I'm being kind of a predictor, or make a assessment, that the old woman, the woman from the previous marriage, was a problem too. How he treated her, how he was interacting, there was some confusion there, you know.
It was a lot of confusion, but
Hmm.
like right now, it's like we cannot see. I mean, he every morning he goes to work. He tells me he loves me. He kisses me every morning. He
Mm.
keeps flowers in the house for me. And those are things that he had to, like. I saw that she loved me because she stayed the course. She stayed after all of, me being selfish and me being, because it's like I could see that he was a good man. It's just that, like I said, I blame myself for not giving him time
Mm.
to rest, time to grieve, time
Right.
to, process what he's gone through
But it
before jumping
it
into
worked. It worked out anyway.
it.
So the past is the past. And you guys learned how to deal with differences. The process of how to deal with differences, and you dealing with him in his worst state of mind, getting out of a marriage and jumping right into a relationship. Um,
Hmm.
so so let me ask you a question. from a because I'm glad a woman is on because I would like to hear your perspective. Um, what can you laid out what you did for him? What is important for a woman to do for her man in order to maintain a relationship? What is the key thing? If you had to give advice to someone younger than you or someone about to enter a marriage, what is the one thing that a woman can do for a man that can keep the relationship positive and maintain it?
Um, one of the things that he's always telling me, um, which I actually started it,
Mm-hmm.
don't sweat the small stuff. I started that, don't sweat the small stuff. But then I started not, you know, heeding to my own words, and I was, like kind of getting to a point where, and this was within the 10 years, getting to the point where I'm annoyed faster and quicker because I had to literally make an ultimatum, So it's like now when I told him don't sweat the small stuff back then, it's because I was trying to get him to see it's not that serious. But then again, like I said, I didn't know he was going through something. So
Mm-hmm.
now, it's more like, oh no, that's just too small. That is not even worth, an argument, a debate, a difference. Of course, we're going to have our differences, but is it really, really worth it? And pretty much knowing what this relationship entails.
Mm-hmm.
What are you trying to what do you want out of a relationship? Because
Mm-hmm.
again, a relationship will come and it will go, and you can move on to the next one. So if that's not what you want to do, if that's where you want to stay at, by all means, try to see, if it's a deal breaker. And I wouldn't even say that. Matter of fact, I take that back. There's really no deal breakers. Especially when you're in a marriage. It's just the differences that somebody's being bullheaded, and they don't want to to look at it in a different light. But yeah, stay open minded.
Okay, there's two things I want to address that you said that I need more clarification for. The first thing I want to go back to, and you said it briefly, and it was you didn't know what he was going through. So I'm going to interpret that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is as a woman, you need to be able to identify and get to know or understand what your husband is going through in order to be able to
Yes,
address anything. Okay. Be understanding. Okay.
yes.
Okay. And the second thing, which I thought was another profound statement, again, is that there really is no deal breakers. So I think I understand what you're saying, but can you clarify that? Like really elaborate on that?
Okay, so um, as far as like when you're in a relationship, in a marriage, the especially when you're of age, the cheating, the things that you would call a deal breaker shouldn't even be there. You know, that that shouldn't be there. Like say for instance, you know, when my man and I are out walking or somewhere, and he turns and he looks at a young lady or whatever, and he says that she have a nice shape. I am not offended. I'm not offended, or I'm not mad, or any of that stuff, because it's like, well, I mean, okay, maybe she did, have a nice shape, or maybe she is cute, I'm secure in my position, so I don't have to worry about he wants to leave me to go with her,
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't, so we shouldn't be in a deal breaker. We shouldn't have a deal breaker in our relationship. Um,
Okay.
like I said, we can have differences, but the cheating, I don't can't say that it you know it won't happen. Um, But I just really feel that if you really not ready, if you really feel that you have to cheat, or which is one of the things that they call the deal breaker, the other one being what the finances or something, I mean, it's a two-way street. So with the cheating part, if you really feel that you got to cheat, then you really don't want to be in a marriage, and you really need to, hey, let me get out of this. Be a man, be a woman. Hey, you know what? That's that's why you shouldn't. That's why you wouldn't actually have a deal breaker, because the thing of it is you came to me or I came to you and said, hey, I'm looking for something else, and just move on. You
Right.
know, I hate that it will happen. Because when you say you're married for life. You wanted to be with them. You know, and see, in my case, I gave him an ultimatum, so that made did he really truly come to the front saying, I want to marry you. I want to marry you. No, he really didn't. It's just that he decided, he made the choice to say, okay, now I'm ready,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right.
because even after I gave him an ultimatum, it still was like another year, or two before it really downright happened, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, yeah, all of his, he was able to understand me at this point. He saw my attitude. He saw, my perky ways. He saw those things, so he knew exactly what he was getting into. So when he made that choice, that change, the thing, he was ready. He was ready, and now I am seeing that. I guess because I gave him that time to be the way he was, but at the same time, I gave him a chance to see me, to know me, and to know that I am the same lady that, you married, the same lady that you got with when you were in your, you know, stage of, emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So so he was able to see that process, and that was the process, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually, and I'm going to be honest here, I I was like thinking that he did not love me as much as I loved him.
Right.
I always thought that he didn't love me as much because of me having to stick by him for the 10 years. Then, um, then I give him an ultimatum. Then he goes through the ultimatum, and he, goes through, and we get married, and everything is happy. But the deep down feeling of, is he really truly in love? And, sad to say, it took me to get sick for me to see it.
Oh,
He
okay.
is,
I get what you're saying. You got sick and he had to step up and take care of you.
and he
Is that what
stepped
you're
up,
saying?
and he
Okay.
did. And so that wasn't saying that he didn't love me prior to it. It just said for me to see it,
Right.
for me to see, for me to have that clear, knowledge of, oh, okay. So
You
now,
know, well,
I'm sorry.
uh, finish what you said. I do have a thought on that, but just go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Um, I kind of lost my train of thought on that.
Oh, I apologize. What I was gonna say is, it probably was very difficult to see it through all of the arguing. It's very hard to see the truth when you're looking at all of the arguing, because that's all you can see is what's not going right.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was you was put in a state of rest where your mind can only focus on your health. So you couldn't see all of the other stuff. You were focused on your health. And because you were focused on your health and he was focusing on your health, that's when you was able to see the beauty of whether he loved you or not. See,
The beauty. That was the beauty.
you know,
That was the beauty.
and that's really that's crazy though, because it's kind of crazy that it takes something real tragic for you to really see the truth of a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Isn't that weird that things got to get really bad and say, okay, now, because at that point ain't nobody arguing. You just like, oh, she's sick and we got to do something about this. Everybody's in heightened panic mode. Let's take care of this. Let's get you back to your health. No one's thinking about whether they're gonna be right or wrong. We just talking about this health issue, and
Right.
that's and that's the truth, because that's when you really see who you really got in your corner, is when you really need that person. When you can't do for, when you have to rely on them and you can't do for yourself. That's when you see the truth. You know.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm happy for your feminine input, because the brothers was chiming in, but it's really good for the women to come on and share of their experiences and what they know and what they think, so that we can have that balance. Because men and
Right.
women, regardless, would you agree, we think differently. We might get to the same goal, but we think differently on how we get to that goal. We process.
They get this.
We love
Yeah.
differently. Men love different from women. And I think what gets confused and what's get clouded, we expect our partners to love us from like me as a man, from a masculine perspective, instead of her loving me from her feminine's perspective, how she would be moved to do it. So,
Right.
yeah. All right, man. I really appreciate that, your input. I think this was a very good show. That I did. I haven't done this in many years. I used to do stuff, but we were going to talk about other things that had nothing to do with relationships. And someone started talking about how long they've been married. I said, well, hey, let's talk about that, because in our community, people of color, I don't like using we're black and all of that, but for the sake of this conversation, black relationships are suffering. They're suffering. And we, a large majority of us, are just walking away from relationships because we don't know how to communicate and work through our differences. And really, anything in life, anything in life that you begin to really appreciate, you have to go through something with it. Like, just on a different, from this perspective that I'm about to mention. How was diamonds created? It has to be crushed. The coal has to be pressure, high pressure, and then you get a diamond. How do you get a good relationship? High pressure, and see if you can maintain. You can see either you're going to maintain a bust, and most people can't take the high pressure. Most people don't want the high pressure. They're not built for the high pressure. So that's where you, in a relationship, you really have to choose to go through that high pressure. You really got to choose that, to deal with that. And then now, for you, it took 10 years to get to the point where you are now. And I think it's safe to say you're not going to give that up for the world. To get to this far, you're not walking away from that. Because now you see what it could be. It is what you wanted it to be. It wasn't for 10 years, but you got there. And I know some women will listen to what you just said and say, oh, she's crazy. She don't know. But most of the women that will say that has not maintained a relationship probably past 3 years.
Right.
So we can't take their word for it. We can't take people's word for it that have no experience in keeping relationships together. So only the people that have the experience have the right to talk, so, or have an opinion. Yeah. So thank you and congratulations on your 15-year process and journey and getting it to where you needed to be. Congratulations, and I
Thank
I hope your health is better
you.
now. So
Still work. I mean, this here just happened a couple of years ago. So
mhm.
yeah, I'm just still making sure. I've heard someone say, um, you you have to stop eating stuff that attacks your heart. You know,
Yeah,
I like a little mild stroke, but um, when I heard that, it's like we keep attacking ourselves.
right.
It's not that things happening to us. We are attacking ourselves. So,
Mhm,
if we eat that burger that knows that, it's so good, but it's
mhm,
really bad for us,
mhm.
you're attacking your heart. That's
Right.
the main thing that you're trying to say. You are attacking it. And I started looking at things a lot different.
Mhm.
Like, no,
I
no, my household cannot eat stuff that attacks our heart. I
right.
was telling my husband that all the time, my son, hey, no, 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 that attacks our heart.
Right. Look up this on my channel. On my channel, I did an interview with a doctor, Jennifer Daniels. She's a doctor. She don't practice anymore. She hasn't practiced for years because they ran her out of the country because she was healing people. And I did a show with her, and she said heart attacks and strokes are caused by the same thing: dehydration.
Dehydration, you are absolutely right.
Hmm.
That's right. That is so
Dehydration. And a lot of times we are drinking stuff, but it's dehydrating us at the same time. People who drink coffee, it takes about 3 to 4 glasses of water to make up for the dehydration that a 1 cup of coffee uh,
and I
does.
wholeheartedly believe that, and I have actually witnessed it, or really had that happen, because soon after I got out of the hospital, I thought maybe like I even questioned the doctors. No, they. I mean, I don't look like a stroke patient. I don't look like anything ever
Hmm.
happened to me. And I still don't. I don't talk like it. I don't. I'm not like one of the normal stroke patients that you would see. What did they called it a TIA, transit ischemic attack.
Hmm.
Um, that I had, that way they found a small occlusion on the back of my head. So, I was like, well, no, they don't, that's not me. They're not talking about me, and I was in denial. I was straight in denial until a couple of days I was home, and I'm out walking because at this point, I'm ready to change my life. I'm ready to, make sure I eat healthy and make sure I'm not stressed, so
Hmm.
now I'm out walking and I think
Hmm.
and the lady who came up on me, she was like, "Are you okay?" But again, I fainted, and she said, "Please, somebody bring me some water." And that lady gave me some water, and I act like nothing ever happened to me. I
Hmm.
was dehydrated,
Hmm.
severe
It's
dehydrated.
very easy
I mean,
to get dehydrated and you could be drinking all day. Very
hmm
easy because the regular water that you drink, your cells are not absorbing that correctly. So you need magnesium to absorb it into the cells. So you put a little salt in your water. The hospital knows what cures a lot of that stuff because the very first thing they give you in the hospital is a saline solution.
it's that saline. You're right.
And all of a sudden you start feeling better. And then by the time the doctor get there, you can't even describe the symptoms.
You can't describe it. That.
Because it ain't there
Yeah.
anymore because they gave you saline solution. You see,
Mm-hmm.
that happened to me years ago. Like I had the flu real bad one year, and I lost a lot of weight. But the doctor was giving me medicine for the flu, and then I had asthma, so they were giving me medicine for that. Then some antibiotics, all these things I was taking at the time, and I was like, "Doctor, should I be taking all this?" Nah, you'll be fine. So one day I'm walking up my stairs in my house, my leg just lock up. It don't hurt. It's just locked in the straight position. And I had to force it to bend. And it was just locking, no pain. And it was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Called the ambulance. They took me to the hospital. While I'm sitting there, they put me on a saline solution. You know, this is in New York hospital. So I'm sitting in, I think it was Brookdale Hospital. I think it's a different name now. And I'm sitting there for almost 4 hours, no doctor seeing me, but my legs are working now. So I just took all the stuff off and walked out, never looked back. Right? And then I finally went to saw my regular doctor. But it took me to about 3 or 4 years ago to realize what happened. And I was talking to that doctor. She said, you know, what is she said, what is the usual modality of a hospital, the method that they use? They give you saline solutions, have you sit there. Now you're feeling better. So really, most of these illnesses that people are having is basically simply because they are dehydrated. They're not getting enough water. So what I do now is I put salt in my water, like Celtic salt, a little pinch. You don't need a whole lot. Or I will get a watermelon, and that would be my source of fluid.
I love watermelon, and
Right.
that is what my go-to
Right.
For hydration.
Right.
So yes, I eat a lot of watermelon, especially because it's summer now. So why not eat the watermelon?
Yeah.
You know?
And that'll eat that. I'll go through a whole watermelon probably in 2 days myself, just one watermelon. Because I'll turn it into a liquid. I'll drink it. That's my hydration. And now I'm getting nutrients in it, and that is getting into the cells. I'm actually being hydrated and you don't need to be drinking back-to-back water because all you're going to do is urinate that out because the kidneys can only hold about 4 ounces of fluid. Anything else is just going to let it pass through and use 4 ounces to process through your body. You see, so those people, I drank 3 and drink it. No, you're wasting time because all you're going to do is leave. That's just going to leave you. You know, drink just a little bit, you know, glass here, glass there. Just get the fluids in you throughout the day. Anyway. All right, man, it's 9:37. I'm getting like my old days back in the old call-in days. All right. Well, thank you for was it CC? You said CC?
CC.
Okay. Thank you, CC, for calling in, and feel free to call in at any time or any topic you want to talk about. All right. All right, everybody. I think I'm gonna shut it down. I think this was successful. We had a good conversation. Had a few callers sharing their insights on relationships. And that's the number. That 515-605-9723 is going to be the calling number from here on out. So lock it in your phone. So every Monday, as people get used to and trying to get on, hey, I think we have 12 likes up there. So 13 people, 15 people, somebody else just got on. I'm sorry if you're getting on kind of late. This is the closeout of the show for tonight. So you'll have an opportunity to get on again next Monday for Q&A. Tomorrow I might take callers too. That'll be the number. If y'all just want to call in. So tomorrow's show is 7 p.m. Eastern time. All right. That being said, peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to everyone. Have a good night. You want to write down, how do I want, say if it's your finances, how do I want my finances to look right now? And then you write that down and look at that every day. And you have to write it like it's already that way, like it's already taken care of. Like if you say you want millions, okay, I got millions. Right now I have so many millions of dollars. Oh, you're fantasizing. Yes, you are. You're fantasizing with an extra dose of belief that it's real. If you know that this is real, this is not wishful thinking. This will happen for you. What else you got to lose? Really? I tell you what you have to lose. You have to lose those negative thoughts. That's what you'll lose. When you do that, you'll lose the negative thoughts of living in a constant state of poverty and lack and thinking you can't do something, you can't have this, you can't have that. You'll lose that. That's what you want to lose, right? That's a good loss. Losing all the negative and I can'ts and this ain't working, all of that, letting all of that go, that's what you're losing. That's what you have to lose. For anything great to come into your life, you have to lose something. You have to let go of something. Some of you got to let go of some of these conversations you're having with people. Some of you have to let go of some of these relatives that you're trying to help and they're dragging you down. They don't have the same mindset. You really have to go into a place of solitude, almost. And that can be a tough thing to do for some of you because you have close ties with your family. I'm not saying cast them out. What I'm saying, you have to mentally say, okay, this person's not ready, but I got to keep moving and keep them at a distance and let them watch you prosper as you move on.